Before I saw Undertone, I saw a review that said I felt like I was being hunted, and that's exactly how it felt. That was fucking terrifying. I'm unwell the entire time. This was me and my best friend. Like, literally, and that doesn't even help, to be honest. Like, I realized when I see scary movies, my best friend Michelle always laughs that, like, one of the first scary movies we saw together, I think it was A Haunting in Connecticut, and she was terrified, and then she looked over and I was like this movie was so horrible to experience in a good way because you literally can't escape. Like, the visuals aren't even what's scary. The visuals actually were beautiful in this movie. The director did an amazing job at creating dread, at building the atmosphere right from the beginning. I loved all the up close shots of like the photo album, the house. It really like immersed you in the world right away. But unfortunately, you closing your eyes, you're just gonna miss cool visuals. And even with not closing, but holding your ears closed, you're still hearing everything. So there's no escape. If you think you're gonna go to this movie and just like look away or close your eyes, you're not. So keep that in mind. I think if you love horror, you need to see this movie. It was really fun. It was a new idea, which I always love. We see so many of the same movies over and over again, so it's really cool when a movie just feels different and original and actually feels scary. There'll be spoilers in this because it's a review. So if you're watching this to see if you want to watch Undertone, or maybe if you're too scared to watch it and you want to just learn about it, this video can be for that. About a podcaster who is taking care of her dying mom, and right away it's immediately terrifying because the house is filled with religion and religious paraphernalia. So being someone that's not religious, when I see like an alarming amount of that stuff, it immediately makes you uneasy. Maybe it also makes you uneasy if you grew up religious. I'm sure more so if you have religious trauma. But that immediately kind of creates the vibe of like dread. Coolest thing that everyone's talking about with this movie, which I agree with, is the sound design is insane. So that goes back to the not being able to escape. The second the main character puts on her noise canceling headphones, it's truly noise canceling. So you are hearing every little sound that is in the recordings that they end up listening to, that are sent to them. I thought Adam DeMarco did an amazing job, and we don't even see him in the movie, which I didn't know that going into it. I've seen him in the press interviews. You wouldn't know it was him, but he did a really good job at playing kind of the other podcast host, being more on the believer side. The main girl is a skeptic. She's honestly a little too much of a skeptic towards the end. Like, there's things happening, like the water is running, the lights turning on, her mom is out of the bed. Like, at a certain point, it's like, I don't know if it was because she was kind of slowly going crazy or being possessed by like this demon, or if she was kind of so scared that she was just in denial, and she felt like if she told the other host that she was like getting worried, then she would kind of make it more real for herself. I actually watching this, I realized I unlocked, like, I think a forgotten about fear that I had in childhood, which is playing music backwards and trying to find hidden meanings. I feel like kids always used to do that when I was in like middle school and elementary school, and I would just be like, I'm good. Like, I don't want to know if the Beatles um, put a demonic message in their song. Maybe that's not for me to hear. Um, so I'm just going to pretend like it doesn't exist. The other thing, I don't know if this is true, but I remember this was like a fact I loved telling people because someone scared me with this in middle school, but it's on the topic of music. I think in the song uh, Roller Coaster of Love, that's the song that's playing in the tanning bed scene in one of the Final Destination movies, if I'm not mistaken. But somebody told me, I think in middle school, that when they were recording that song in another studio, they were shooting a cover for an album, and there was a model and her skin got stuck to a piece of plexiglass, so there's a scream you can hear in the Roller Coaster of Love song. And they didn't notice before they published it, so they kept it in, but the scream is from like a model, like her skin ripping off the plexiglass. Do I know if that's true? No, I'm not going to fact check it, so I might be spreading misinformation. There's a lot of creepy children's songs in this movie, forwards and backwards. They were still creepy. A lot of like the hidden messages I could not hear until like they literally said it or she wrote it out. Some creepy artwork. That was something that kind of confused me, was when she's going to check on her mom and then she like opens the drawer and she sees, or no, she sees the little statue on the bedside and she's like, this is creepy, I'm putting this away. And then she opens the drawer and she sees the terrifying drawing with the crayon box on top of the mom holding the dead baby. But then she just takes the crayons out and shuts the drawer. Again, I might just not have picked up on it, but maybe she was like in a certain stage of the possession at that point, so that didn't bother her. But if not, and she saw that and was like, just so many things that were happening that I would have been so sorry, mom, but two, one, two, three, release them. I wish you the best. I'm either bringing you somewhere or I'm leaving you here. I'm leaving and then I'm calling someone to come check on you because you could not pay me any amount of money to sleep in that house. Even the thought of recording a podcast a couple nights a week where your podcast recordings are at 3 a.m. for some reason, which is everyone knows in horror movies, that's the worst possible time for anything. You're recording the podcast at 3 a.m. in your dying mom's home with religious paraphernalia everywhere, and then you're also now listening to recordings where there's some type of demonic possession happening, and then in the house things are happening that match those recordings, but then we're still going to sleep at night. Oh my god, and I just remembered one of the things that I was most scared about seeing this movie tonight was I had a feeling that I was going to get to see the Passenger trailer that everyone's been talking about that you can only see in the theaters. It's the same person that made the Autopsy of Jane Doe movie, which was horrifying. And I finally got to see the trailer. I have to say, it's definitely a really creepy concept, and I'm sure it's going to be scary. But my barometer of scary car jump scares, it's hard to reach that level when you were watching Haunting of Hill House for the first time and Nell comes through the center of the car, screams, and then you're watching it with your two sisters and you throw yourself off the couch and start crying because you're so scared. So The Passenger was scary and the jump scare at the end was scary, but it's not that level. So we did escape the Hokum trailer for now. I've seen it online. That one where me and Michelle are very scared of, so we were happy to have a break from that. Undertone, everyone said the ending, and they were not lying, because when it goes black and you're truly all you have is the audio, it was very unsettling. Obviously, I think more than unsettling, because you can kind of put two and two together and assume what's happening. The worst part for me, and again, spoiler, were the flashes of the main actress with the bag over her head, like laying at the bottom of the stairs, like how they described other people were found that encountered the same demon. That was a lot, but I think this director, if this is his first movie, he has a really promising career in horror, because there's something to be said about being able to be subtle, and he doesn't go for cheap jump scares. And anytime I see a director doing that, I'm really excited to see what they do next, because it's easy to go the jump scare route, but when you can really lean into the dread and make, honestly, a really beautiful movie that's also terrifying, I will see everything that you make. So saw he's in talks with, I think Blumhouse has the rights to it, but he will be doing a paranormal activity reboot. And again, like, he already proved he could make arguably a scarier Paranormal Activity just from this movie. So I would be really excited to see that. So the perfect length, like, honestly, it was like brutal to get through an hour and 25 minutes of that. I don't think I could handle any longer. And it just goes back to the subtle thing. Like, there's something to be said about a director that's able to, like, get all of that done in that amount of time and know when to call it and not, like, overindulge, or, like, I'm sure there were other things that they could have done or longer takes, but it did the job. And this is an instance where the hype is real. It was as scary as I hoped it would be from the trailers, and it was just a good horror movie. As you can see, my background is different. I immediately had to be dropped off at my girlfriend's because there was no way in hell I was sleeping in my apartment alone after watching that movie. No way. But yeah, thanks for watching. See Undertone and go to the movies. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, bye.
Ow. Hey, people.